She walked into her father's funeral expecting silence. Instead, she uncovered a legacy of lies, betrayal, and an inheritance that would rewrite her past. What happens when the daughter, everyone dismissed, becomes the heir to the truth? My name is Allison Hayes, and at 28, I never imagined standing alone at my father's funeral. The grand hall of St. Mark's Church buzzed with murmurs, not prayers, but whispers about me. I stood by the side, black dress clinging to me like silence, my heart pounding not with grief but shame. My brother Jason's voice broke the low hum of chatter. "She's just here for the money," he announced, loud and cruel. "Dad's going to cut her off." Their laughter struck like a glass, splintering inside me. But then the lawyer entered. Harold Jenkins. Familiar, serious, and holding a USB drive, he approached the podium and plugged it into the projector. Suddenly, my father's face flickered onto the screen. The room froze. Before I share what he said, let me take you back because you won't believe how their smug faces changed. My father, Robert Hayes, was a Boston real estate mogul. Hayes Properties was his crown jewel, built from a modest construction company inherited from his father. Despite his busy life, he always carved out time for me. I was his ally, the early bird on our Cape Cod fishing trips. On the water, he'd teach me patience, timing, and strategy. The business world's like fishing, ally, he'd say. Know when to wait, know when to reel it in. But Jason was always there too, 5 years older and eternally in competition. When I caught a fish, he needed to. When I aced a test, he needed an A. I ignored it, but he didn't. And Dad, he encouraged it. Jason has a real head for business, Dad would say, pride lighting up his voice. He'll take Hayes Properties to new heights. Jason was the chosen one. It was clear. Dad had our lives mapped out. Northeastern University for business. Jason would master operations. I'd handle marketing and client relations. It was all arranged, but I had other dreams. Art had claimed me long ago. From sketching our backyard oak tree to winning regional competitions, my heart was in it. When RISD accepted me, I chose passion over the path Dad paved. The fallout was instant. Art is a hobby, Allison, not a career, Dad snapped, pacing in his home office. The business is your future. It's security. It's your plan, not mine, I whispered. From that night we changed. He still paid for my schooling, but the warmth disappeared. Jason moved in fast, becoming the dutiful son. At dinners, he'd say, "Don't worry, Dad. I'll make sure Hayes Properties thrives." He played the long game, and I kept painting. During college, I tried to reach Dad. I mailed photos of my art, especially the Boston skyline, series a love letter to the city he helped build. One gallery featured it, and I invited him. He brushed me off, but to my shock, he showed up on a Tuesday, alone. "Your work is interesting," he said, peering at my largest piece. "You're talented." We had coffee afterward. Just an hour, but it felt like breathing again. "I'm proud of you for working hard, Allison, even if it's not what I would have chosen." A flicker of hope lit in me. But Jason was poisoning that flicker. He controlled the narrative. The family believed I had abandoned my father. Invitations were lost. Calls went unanswered. I learned later that he'd intercepted my voicemails, told them I never called. When I came home during the holidays, Jason would arrange business meetings. "Some of us have responsibilities," he'd say with smug sympathy. 6 months before Dad's death, I tried again. I'd made it a critic, hailed my Manhattan gallery exhibit. I called Dad. "That's nice," he said flatly. Jason just secured the Madison Avenue project. "I'm proud of him," I said softly. "Look, Allison," he cut me off. "Hayes Properties takes all of my energy. Not everyone has the luxury to play with paint." "It's not play," I said quietly. "It's my work." He sighed. "I'm too tired for this." We never spoke again. The call came days later. Harold Jenkins. "Allison," he said, voice heavy. "Your father passed away early this morning." My heart stopped. Not just from grief, but betrayal. Jason didn't even call himself. I booked the first train to Boston. Jason answered my 4th call. "What do you want?" "I'm busy." "Why didn't you tell me about Dad?" "I'm making arrangements." Someone had to. I would have helped, right? "You've been so involved." "Funerals, Friday. Immediate family only, tomorrow night." "Don't show up uninvited." The implication stung. I visited Dad at the funeral home. Alone, I stood by his casket, tears falling. I'm sorry, Dad, I whispered. I wish we had more time. I called Megan, my best friend. They didn't invite me to the gathering. I choked. I'm coming to Boston, she said. You won't go through this alone. The funeral was cold. Jason is in the front row. No eye contact. My seat, near the middle, whispers followed me. Jason's eulogy was a masterclass in revisionist history. Dad believed in loyalty, he said, glancing my way. Some people forgot that, but I stayed. Megan squeezed my hand as I blinked away tears. At the reception, I barely touched my coffee. Jason approached, flanked by cousins. Enjoying yourself, he sneered. Nice to show up now that there might be money. Jason, stop, I whispered. You didn't care when Dad needed help, you only care about the will. Well, guess what? Dad's cutting you off. Laughter around us. Burning humiliation. Then Harold Jenkins appeared. May I have your attention? He said, raising a hand. The room quieted. Robert Hayes left a final video message for his family. He wanted it played here. Now, gasps. He inserted the USB. The screen flickered. My father's face appeared. Alive, stern, unfiltered. Jason's smirk vanished. And I held my breath. Let me know and I'll continue the suspenseful journey where secrets unravel. Loyalties are tested. And Allison discovers just how much her father knew and what he left behind. They were openly staring now. I heard someone snicker. Uncle Warren approached, placing a hand on Jason's shoulder. Perhaps Allison should just leave, he suggested, not even addressing me directly. She's not family anymore, is she? The laughter that followed from several family members nearly broke me. I considered walking out, sparing myself further humiliation. But something kept me rooted to the spot. I owed it to Dad to myself to see this through. Despite everything, I'm staying, I said quietly. Whether you like it or not. He was my father too. Jason shrugged dramatically. Suit yourself. But don't get your hopes up for tomorrow. Dad knew who cared about him in the end. Tomorrow, the will reading. I hadn't even thought about the inheritance until now, but clearly, everyone else had, in their minds. It was the only reason I would have come back to claim what they believed I didn't deserve. As I walked away, I heard Jason's voice carry across the room. She'd be singing a different tune tomorrow when she realizes Dad saw through her act years ago. If only I had known then how prophetic those words would be. Though not in the way Jason intended. The reception dragged like a slow-motion nightmare. People I'd known my entire life avoided me or approached me with forced politeness. Kenneth Sullivan, my father's business partner of 20 years, nodded stiffly. Your father was a remarkable man, he said, glancing over my shoulder like he was desperate to escape. Built quite a legacy with Jason. With Jason, I repeated. Right. The company is in good hands now. He has your father's vision. The transition should be seamless. Clear message. I had no place in Hayes Properties. I spotted Diane, my cousin, once my childhood partner in treehouse missions, chatting with a group near the refreshments. When she saw me, she whispered something before reluctantly walking over. Allison, she said, offering a half hug. I'm sorry about Uncle Robert. Thanks, how have you been? Busy, the kids and all. Jason mentioned you're in New York. That must be interesting. It is. I have a gallery opening next month that's nice. She interrupted. Must be fun to follow your dreams while Jason's been here handling everything. Her judgment wasn't even subtle. Excuse me, I should check on my husband. Gone before I could respond. I found Megan by the windows. This is worse than I expected, I whispered. They all hate me. They don't know you, she said. They only know Jason's version. But you're here for your dad. Get through today. The will reading tomorrow, and we'll go home. The will reading, my stomach tightened. Across the room, Jason's voice rose above the murmurs. Can't believe she showed up, he said to Uncle Warren and 2 board members. After she broke Dad's heart. Refused to even visit when he was sick. Anger flared. I didn't know he was sick. No one told me, Jason added. She's in for a surprise tomorrow. Dad updated his will last year after her birthday no-show. She doesn't deserve a dime. One board member noticed me and nudged Jason. He turned. Oh, Allison. Didn't see you there. Planning to attend tomorrow's meeting with the lawyer? Of course. Excellent. It should be. Enlightening. Uncle Warren didn't hide his disdain. I don't know why you're bothering. Robert made his feelings quite clear. Did he? What exactly did he say? That's between him and the family that stayed in touch. It's never that simple, I said. Never is with you, Jason cut in. Always an excuse. Dad got tired of waiting for you to grow up around us. Conversation stilled. You have no idea what our relationship was like, I said, voice cracking. I was there, Jason snapped, taking him to the doctors, running his company, being an actual child. Laughter. Face it, Allison, you're here for the money. Tomorrow makes it official. I clenched my fists, every instinct telling me to run, but I didn't. I guess we'll all find out tomorrow, won't we? Megan and I found a quiet spot in the garden. Those people are toxic, she said. Jason has them fooled. Maybe he's right, I whispered. Maybe I don't deserve anything. You know your worth, Allison. Your father's money doesn't define your value. I nodded, but doubt lingered. Morning came, gray and cold. I declined Megan's offer to come along. I needed to face this alone. The law offices of Jenkins, Baxter and Wright occupied the top floor of one of Dad's buildings. Salt in the wound. When I entered the conference room, everyone was already seated. Jason at the head of the table. Me at the foot. Allison, you came, he smirked. Saved you a seat. I took it, ignored the whispers. Jason was already boasting about the Madison Avenue project. At 10 a.m. Harold Jenkins walked in. Thank you for coming, he said warmly, squeezing my shoulder. Your father spoke of you often. I blinked back tears. Robert left specific instructions. Harold said, today's proceedings will begin with a video message. A ripple of surprise. He recorded it 3 months ago. Jason frowned. He never mentioned a video. He insisted it be played before the will is read. Jason whispered something to Uncle Warren. Unease crept into his features. The lights dimmed. Harold's assistant loaded the USB. The projector hummed to life, and then Dad appeared. Alive, whole. In his home office, NavySuit.com. Direct. Hello everyone, he began. If you're watching this, I'm gone. But some truths need to be spoken. Silence. Some of you will be surprised. Some will be upset. But this is about truth, family, betrayal, and forgiveness. He looked straight into the camera. I want to begin by speaking to my daughter, Allison. My breath caught. If you're here, and I hope you are, I'm sorry. A stunned murmur passed through the room. Jason stiffened. I'm sorry for the distance between us. I'm sorry for not supporting your dreams. And I'm sorry for believing lies about you. Dad's voice trembled. About 6 months ago, I had another minor heart scare. Working from home, I looked for files in Jason's study. That's when I found them: cards, letters, invitations. From you, Allison, gasps. Birthday cards. I never received. Art show invites. Updates, all unopened, hidden. Jason stood. This is ridiculous, Mr. Hayes, Harold interrupted. You must sit. The video must be played in full. Jason sat, his face was pale. I hired a private investigator, Dad continued. He confirmed it all. Jason intercepted calls. Deleted voicemails. Blocked communication. My hands trembled, but that wasn't the worst of it. Dad said, face-hardening title, The Legacy Code. More disturbing, Dad continued, were Jason's actions in the business. He engaged in practices that go against everything Hayes Properties stands for. Cutting corners on materials. Falsifying inspection reports. Even bribing a city official to expedite permits. Someone gasped. Board members exchanged alarmed glances. I built this company on integrity, Dad said, his voice rising. My father taught me our name meant something. A Hayes property was built to last, with pride and honesty. Jason betrayed those values for profit. Jason was visibly sweating now, his earlier confidence gone. This is a misunderstanding, he mumbled. Mr. Hayes, Harold warned, please. On screen, Dad's expression softened. Allison, when I discovered all this, my instinct was to call you. But you deserved better than an apology over the phone. I made arrangements to visit you in New York. I wanted to meet you on your terms. I whispered, but you never came. Dad continued, that last call, where I sounded cold, I wasn't angry with you. I was angry at Jason. At myself. I planned to surprise you, to visit your gallery and tell you how proud I am. He picked up a folder. I've followed your career, Allison, through gallery websites and art magazines, not Jason's reports. I've even bought some of your pieces anonymously. Your creativity and strength. I admire them. I was wrong to try to mold you. He looked directly into the camera. You're not just an artist, you're a builder, like me. Then, his tone shifted to formality. Now, regarding my will and Hayes properties. Given Jason's deception and unethical business practices, I cannot leave the company in his hands. Jason leaned forward, his body taut. My original will named Jason the primary inheritor of my estate and the company, with a modest trust for Allison. That will is revoked. A stunned silence fell. To Jason Hayes, I leave $500,000, held in trust. Payable in $50,000 installments annually. Contingent upon cooperation with the ethics investigation and completion of a business ethics program. Jason's face went white. What? To Allison Hayes, I leave my personal residence, investment portfolio, and 51% of Hayes properties. The room exploded. Uncle Warren stood, protesting, but Harold raised a hand. Allison's ethical foundation and vision make her ideal to lead Hayes properties. She may take an active management role or serve as chair while continuing her art. It's her choice. I could hardly breathe. After years of thinking Dad disapproved, he had trusted me and trusted me with his life's work. The remaining 49% will be distributed among current board members and senior staff, with allocations detailed in the written will. I've also created the Robert Hayes Foundation for Arts Education, to be directed by Allison. Dad looked at the camera again. Jason, I hope you understand this comes from love for you, for Allison, for our company. Jason suddenly stood, knocking his chair over. This is insane. I'll contest it. I anticipated that. Dad's recorded voice said, Harold has full documentation of Jason's actions that will become public if challenged. Jason sat back, stunned. Silence. Allison, Dad said, his voice soft again. This is a big responsibility. If you sell your shares, provisions are in place. But I hope you consider this role. Hayes Properties needs your integrity, he sighed. I wish we'd reconciled. I'm sorry we didn't. But please know this. I love you. I always did. I'm proud of you. The screen went black. Silence lingered before Jason sneered. You think this changes anything? The board will never accept you. He scanned the room for allies, but the board avoided his gaze. Harold cleared his throat. Let's take a brief recess. There are documents to review regarding the investigation. Jason stormed out. Others followed. Only Harold remained. Did you know? I asked. He nodded. Your father told me everything. He was proud, Allison. He kept a portfolio of your art articles in his desk, the real one. I wept not from shame this time, but release. The next days blurred with legal briefings, meetings, and media calls. Jason, as expected, hired a lawyer. But Harold had everything. Proof, documents, audio. Jason withdrew his challenge. He moved out of Dad's house, now my house, and left for Europe. We hadn't spoken since. I debated managing the company from New York, but ultimately moved to Boston. Temporarily I thought the transition wasn't easy. Jason loyalists resigned. Skeptics questioned my experience. I'm not a real estate expert, I told the company, but I know my father's values. Hayes Properties will operate with creativity, transparency, and respect. I brought in advisors, reviewed every project. The Madison Avenue one Jason had bragged about, full of safety issues. We redid it from the ground up. At the ribbon cutting, 6 months later, I felt Dad's presence. I'd honored him. The family started reaching out. Diane called first. I'm sorry. I judged you. I believed Jason. That wasn't fair. It wasn't, I said. But I'm open to rebuilding with time. Even Uncle Warren and Aunt Patricia reached out. Some sincerely, others I kept at arm's length. Then came a final discovery. In Dad's study, behind a secret panel, I found my artwork photos, clippings, a copy of my diploma, and a journal. Dad had written for years. Early entries lamented my path. But slowly, they shifted. Saw Allison's exhibition online. Her work has a depth that reminds me of her childhood. I wish I could tell her I'm proud. Later, private. Investigator confirmed Jason's sabotage. I can't believe it. I need to make this right. I'll visit her in New York next month. Final entry, arranged trip. Feeling hopeful. If anything happens, Harold has the will. Allison deserves the truth. I cried reading it, but I healed a little, too. 6 months after inheriting Hayes Properties, I launched the Robert Hayes Foundation for Arts Education. We opened our first exhibition featuring my new series paintings, inspired by childhood fishing trips. As I addressed the guests, I felt whole. My father taught me two things: integrity is non-negotiable, and sometimes, stepping away lets you see clearer. That's what art does. That's what this foundation aims to do. Harold approached, smiling. Your father would be proud. You're honoring his legacy, and your own. I wish he could see it. I think he does, he said. The next morning, I visited Dad's grave. I'm trying to do right by you, I said. The company's thriving. The foundation is real. I found your journal. I know you wanted to reconcile. Thank you for everything. I sat in the quiet, told him about my life, my art, and Jason's absence. A peace settled over me. Some wounds take longer to heal, I said. But I'll make you proud, every day. Life is still a balancing act, business and art, leadership, and creativity. But I've learned that truth, once uncovered, has power. It heals, it transforms. My father didn't just leave me a company, he left me the truth. The acknowledgement I needed. The message I'll carry forward. Have you ever had a truth come to light that changed everything? Share your story in the comments, and if this journey moved you, like and subscribe for more stories of family, healing, and finding your path. Sometimes, the greatest gifts come in the most unexpected packages. 6 months after launching the Robert Hayes Foundation, I found a rhythm, one that wove together art and enterprise, purpose and healing. The foundation's impact was already rippling through Boston, underserved schools receiving supplies, local galleries hosting student showcases, and kids dreaming out loud about their futures in color and shape. And through it all, Hayes Properties flourished not because of ruthless deals or shortcuts, but because of restored integrity. One morning, I was preparing for a quarterly board meeting when Harold entered my office with an envelope. Delivered this morning, he said. Jason's handwriting. My breath caught. I hadn't heard from him since he left for Europe, a self-imposed exile I'd accepted without question. I opened the envelope slowly. Inside was a single handwritten letter. Allison, I've read every article about the company, about the foundation, about you. I'm not writing to justify what I did. There's no excuse. I manipulated. I lied. I let ambition twist me into someone I don't recognize. But I see you now. Clearly you deserved better from Dad, from me, from all of us. I'm staying in Florence for now, working in restoration, trying to learn what it means to build rather than take. If someday you're open to it, maybe we can talk. I don't expect forgiveness, just the chance to be honest. Jason. I read it twice, then tucked it in a drawer. I rarely opened the one labeled unfinished. Not every story needed a resolution yet. Some relationships needed time, space, and growth before a new chapter could begin. Business continued, and I slowly grew into my dual roles. I found unexpected joy in mentoring young artists, while also attending city planning meetings and real estate briefings. My days were split between easels and blueprints. And for the first time, I didn't feel torn, I felt whole. In January, Hayes Properties was recognized as one of Boston's most ethical developers. At the awards dinner, I delivered a short speech. This company was built on integrity, lost its way, and found it again, not through punishment, but through course correction. That's what leadership is: being brave enough to steer back to values, even when the path is unfamiliar. Afterward, a young intern approached me. Your story, what you've done, hear it, made me believe there's space for people like me in business. People who don't want to play dirty. Her words stayed with me. I'd once believed my compassion was a weakness. Now it was the cornerstone of my leadership at the foundation. We launched an annual scholarship in Dad's name. The first recipient, a high school senior named Naomi, brought tears to everyone's eyes at the ceremony with a poem about resilience and rediscovery. Watching her reminded me why I'd taken this on, not just for Dad or the company, but to create something enduring. Later that spring, I held a private exhibition at the family estate, now a living gallery. Each room featured a different period of my work, culminating in a final painting titled Reclamation. It was an abstract rendering of the Hayes logo, fractured at first glance, but intricately whole upon closer inspection. The evening was quiet, intimate, just close friends, staff, and a few family members who had truly made amends. I walked the halls alone after they left, touching frames and tracing memories. That night, I wrote in my journal, "Dad, you once said integrity is simple. It's either there or it isn't." I've learned that while integrity is constant, people are not. We falter, we hurt, but we can also grow, forgive, change. You gave me more than a company. You gave me clarity. Thank you for seeing me, for believing in me. Wherever you are, I hope you're smiling. I closed the journal and stepped onto the balcony. Below, the city pulsed with possibility. I was no longer the outsider, no longer the forgotten daughter. I was Allison, his artist, leader, legacy bearer, and the future. It was unwritten. But for the first time, I held the pen. Truth is a powerful inheritance. Have you ever discovered something about your past that changed the way you see yourself? A letter, a conversation, a truth long buried. Share your story below. And if Allison's journey resonated with you, subscribe for more emotional, transformative tales. Remember, sometimes the future only begins when the past is finally seen for what it was.